Hey guys, this is Mark with Precision Computing. Thanks for tuning into the channel. I just wanted to give you guys a little quick video here because there's so many inconsistencies online, and believe it or not, even in the Chilton manual. I'll give you a quick idea of what I'm talking about here. If I go to Camshaft Installation in the Chilton manual here, let's see what it says. Head removal, I'm going to touch on a couple quick things here. Okay, so right here it says built engines to install. Oldsmobile diesel engines. Where does it say? Oh, just give me a page. Okay, V8 Oldsmobile built engines. Disconnect the negative battery cable, blah blah blah. Remove the oil slinger, timing shot at the camshaft, blah, 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 blah. Turn the timing mark on the crankshaft gear until it points directly to the center of the camshaft, so till 12 o'clock. Mount the timing chain over the camshaft gear and start the camshaft gear up onto its shaft with the timing marks as close as possible to each other in line between the shaft centers. Rotate the camshaft to align the shaft with the new gear. So, and what it shows right here, timing mark alignment, Oldsmobile built engines. The mark at the bottom, the mark at the top. The Chilton manual is telling you to install this at 6 and 12 with the number 1 cylinder at top dead center. If Maury was watching right now, he'd be saying, that's a lie. So, what you actually want to do is have your camshaft at 12 o'clock and your crankshaft at 12 o'clock. Number 1 piston at top dead center. Almost, you can see I'm a little bit down here. And then we'll find our timing marks here with our crankshaft in place. And you see we're at about 8 degrees retarded right now because we're a little bit below top dead center. About a half a rotation, which I can do that for you guys here. Craftsman tools, gotta love them. So let's bring that to 0. Number 1, top dead center. Funny thing is, number 6 is also at top dead center. What does that tell us? Well, that the engine works right. But let's take a closer look. You probably won't be able to see because I know I won't be able to see right now. But if you could see down inside the lifter bores right there, the number 6 cylinder is not on the compression stroke. That's 8, that's 6. You can actually see here the number 6 cylinder, this would be exhaust. The exhaust valve, now the motor's rotating clockwise, okay, so it's rotating around us. The exhaust valve is just closing, which means that the intake valve, you can see there, is about to come up and open, which means we're on top dead center, but we're not on the compression stroke. We're just leaving the exhaust stroke. Over here, the number 1 cylinder, I don't have enough light down in there, but both lobes of the cam are facing the opposite direction, which means we're on the compression stroke. Timing mark lines up perfectly. The color of the engine, I use this VHT anodized color coat. I used a Rust-Oleum silver undercoat because the stuff is really kind of futzy. I don't know. I mean, I love the color, but I hate the way it applies. It's probably the worst engine paint I've ever used. but I wanted this color. Oldsmobile, you know, is gold. I didn't want gold, I wanted something different. So to get something different, I had to go with this. I had a chrome oil pan. You can see how nice that looks. I didn't have to coat that with anything. So it gives it a nice metal look, but it's really it takes a minute to get used to working with it. So let's get this rotated back around here. Our oil pump is in. But that's one of the biggest misconceptions. There was a thread that I found on an Oldsmobile forum that let me know 12 and 12. I couldn't remember. It's been 18 years since I've had one of these motors torn apart, and of course I didn't pay attention when I tore it apart. And I do have another motor sitting over there, but it's totally seized. So I didn't put the motor at number 1 at top dead center to see where the marks were. Otherwise I wouldn't have this confusion. So that's my mistake, but for anybody else out there looking for it. Let's talk about number 2 here, Valvetrain. I'm working with this Comp Performance Valvetrain system, K42-236-4. Now you can look it up, it's the whole kit. Camshaft, springs, lifters, retainers, new locks, and then it comes with your nice valve seals here, right? Bought this from Summit. There is nowhere online. These are double valve springs. If you want to go with a big cam and you want to not have valve float, which has blown up an Olds motor on me before because I went with a big cam and I had stock type valve springs. They were brand new, but they were stock type, and it would float at about 5,300 RPMs, and I wound up throwing a rod because there was so much pressure inside the motor. So I buy that. I got my heads all done here. Now mind you, this was like a 50,000 mile 1971 Olds 350. I tore it apart, I did all the work myself. Everything is super tight in the motor. You can see I've holding the cylinders here. I just basically cleaned everything up. I have new rings, I have new bearings, of course all new gaskets. The heads were leaking bad oil back here, so I wanted to get everything clean and just do a once over before I drop it in my Cutlass. I have the trans over there that only has about 20,000 miles on it that I'm going to be doing, you know, like valve body and then all the seals and everything on that. And then I have a rear end over here. I'm going to be doing the same thing. It's a 373 posi unit already all set up, 35 spline axles. So freshening up the car. It's a 1980 Olds Cutlass. She's sitting out there. Anyways, so I get the camshaft kit. I get the valve springs. I go to put them on the valves up here. Seats fit fine, but the stock Olds heads need the valve machined here so that these type springs will sit down over it. They're 0.53 inches and the valves are 11/32. I've lapped the valves, the heads are all ready, I'm ready to install, and I'm running across that problem. So I have the full Velcro gasket set here and I have the umbrella style. So what do? I grab one of the old umbrella style kits from the Valvetrain, put it on. It doesn't fit inside the valve spring because it's the double spring. You can't run with the single spring because it run across valve lift. So the only way to get these to work, which now I've actually ordered better valve seals because I had to order the tool, and I'm going to cut the valve stem seal on the cast iron heads there. So since I ordered the tool to do that, I ordered some better valve seals, and this way I have some extra comp cam ones here just in case I run into an issue. But the stock heads need to be cut. It's about $68, $70 for the tool that will cut the head. So I'm waiting for that to come in. That's the confusion that I've run across, and it's only a 518 lift cam. I'm not trying to go with some 600 lift, something crazy, stupid, or ridiculous. Just a 518 lift, but that does need these valve springs because the stock ones won't hold up to it. You'll get valve float, and you can't run these springs with an umbrella type seal. So with that being said, you need these, you need the cutter. I will go ahead and put in the description here for you guys a link to the cutter. And just a little reminder again on the timing. 12 and 12, not 6 and 12. Chevy is 6 and 12. Oldsmobile, 12 and 12. Got that all together. The motor's ready. I'm just waiting on the tools to come in because nobody local had one, so that I can get the valve stem seats cut, get the new seals on. There'll be a nicer seal anyway, so we'll have better resistance. You can see how tight the cylinders and everything are. That I had some oil in the cylinder walls, or in the cylinders themselves, and it's still sitting in there. I did just use some purple stuff inside the water jackets, hosed them out really nice, let them dry, blew them out, used some metal style pipe cleaners to get down there, clean it out really good. I redid the freeze plugs with brass. It was all original 1971. So I redid those with the brass freeze plugs. For this being all original and about 60,000 miles, the motor's perfect. Main bearings, everything was super tight. I replaced all the bearings, but the bearings for 60,000 miles barely got anywhere. So if you want a nice Olds 350 motor, go to the 68 to 72 blocks and heads. I got number 7 heads. It's going to give me about 8.5 to 9 to 1 compression. Stock, that motor was about 275 horsepower or so, according to Chilton's. How much I can believe that or not, who knows. So after I'm all said and done with the bigger cam, lifters, all new rocker arms, all new Valvetrain, headers, Edelbrock Performer RPM intake, Holly carb, I should be pushing probably 350 horsepower. So we'll see how it reacts when I get it on the street, how it looks. I'm sure somebody will tell me that I'm not going to have that much horsepower, and somebody will say 100 things about 100 other things. But really all I wanted to touch on with this video, just give you guys a run through what I'm doing with the motor. Timing marks when you're going to put it back in. Number 1 cylinder, top dead center on the compression stroke. Both valves should be pointing away, or I'm sorry, lobes on the cam should be pointing away. If you look at number 6, you'll see the intake is just turning away, or the exhaust, I'm sorry. 12 o'clock on your cam and your crank timing marks. That will line you up perfectly to get the motor fired over. Now, when you drop in you can see our push rod there for our oil pump. When we drop in our distributor, we make sure that our rotor is pointing at the number 1, which is right behind where the electrical connection plugs in on our HAI, right behind the last clip there. Make sure it's pointing at number 1, wire everything up, and should fire up perfect first time. Also, high volume oil pump, or water pump. I got a GMB on Amazon for $48. Summit sells a Milladon for $95. It's the same unit, aluminum, high performance. Picked that up. Melling high volume oil pump. I picked up a high volume fuel pump off of Amazon. Also because Holley, all of the reputable names don't make one anymore. It's just a knockoff. I'm gonna see how it goes. If I have to go to an electric pump, just see how the motor requires, what it does, how this pump works out. But from there, I'll give you guys another update soon. I've said too much already. Thanks for tuning in.